All right, guys. Another adult that's been discussed, Nolan Arenado. A lot of talk that the Cardinals would like to trade him. And there's a lot of talk that he would absolutely love to come to Boston. You see some of the reports that he has already invoked his no trade clause, but reports are that he would waive it to come to Boston. We know the relationship he has with Trevor Story. But over the last couple of years, there's no doubt his bat has not been what it once was. 10-time Gold Glover. We know he can play third base. Lou, would he be a fit? Could he be the guy instead of Bregman?
Yeah, see, he could be, but Bregman's just a lot cleaner because I think the willingness to play second. Arenado for 3 years, and you could probably get him for $50 million or so. They'll eat some money, and you won't give up a prospect. So it's a good fit, and you're right. Like, I think he desperately is trying to or wants to play here in Boston. It's just, okay, now, I thought this was more of a possibility because I thought they were going to have to maybe use Casas to get pitching in the offseason. Devers goes to first. So does Devers go to DH? Like, taking him off the field completely to me is pretty drastic, at least to start the year, right? And not put him at first and just say you're the DH. And now Yoshida. We got to move Yoshida. I don't know, you DFA the guy. He's still a pretty good hitter. He just may not be what you want. So it's very complicated when it comes to Nolan Arenado. If they made it work, sure. Yeah, he's one of the best third basemen of his generation. That's what's different between him and Bregman. He stays at third base. Bregman came up a shortstop his whole life. Moved to third because of what Houston had. He can play second base, but it's just very complicated. But I would take him.
Certainly. Julian, I would take towards that end. Julian, let me ask. I want to ask you specifically about this because he mentioned Yoshida. Now, Chaim Bloom was the guy who got Yoshida in the first place. Chaim Bloom is in St. Louis. Could you work Yoshida into a deal to bring Arenado here to at least clear up the DH spot?
I think so because I think Chaim is still very big on Yoshida. I think he's still very, very bullish on Yoshida. He says, Chaim's been under the impression is that, he's a guy that you just got to let him play. He has to be out there. He has to play. So if he doesn't play, he was sort of a platoon DH last year. That doesn't necessarily work well for him. But, you look at the Arenado thing. I'm with Lou on that. It's like, look, if you have an opportunity to bring him here, certainly you bring him here. Like he said, he could probably shore up the defense, right? They've had issues with their defense. He has a history of Trevor Story. But again, you're talking about a guy that's probably 33, 34 years old who's had a bad couple of years. But I think he's better than not doing anything, right? He's better than not just sitting on your hands not doing anything. So, if they can get him, sure. I would love to cover him every day. I would love to see clean baseball. I would love to see a team that didn't make as many errors as they made. I would like to see Trevor Story and Arenado back, playing as their two-man game that they had all those years in Colorado, and shoring up the defense. So, but I think ultimately, it just makes the most sense to go out and get Bregman.
Yeah, and what you see about that. I do think like Arenado last couple of years obviously has not been the hitter that he has been in his career, right? It kind of does remind me of Mike Lowell a little bit. Lowell had really a bad year in Miami before he came here, shored up the defense and hit a little spark here at Fenway Park. And I'm sure, it's just sort of like, it's not a gut feeling or anything, but St. Louis was a mess the last 2 years. It really was. And so he goes out there, he's not the same offensive player. You put him in the change of scenery guy, right? And you put him in the middle of this lineup. With some of the left-handed bats that may be around him. You make him look at Fenway Park. His numbers at Fenway are very good. The Green Monster, I think you get a little bit of a bump, offensively from this guy, re-energized a little bit on a team that can do some damage. So is that a lock? If you sign him, could he hit 200? Sure. You know what I mean? But I think it's worth a look.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing here, and go ahead, Julian.
No, it just shows like it's a star. It's somebody here who's like, yeah, sure, the numbers are the numbers, but get us intrigued about something, right? Like prospects, sure, but bring somebody in here who's established. Bring somebody in here who knows what it takes. Bring somebody in here who's a gamer. And if it's not Bregman, then certainly make it seem Arenado. But like you said, TC, I think for me. The main thing is the Red Sox just have to, or they're going to have to open up their pockets for somebody. That's not Yoshida.
Well, because the interesting thing there is they're this close to winning over fans with this offseason, right? I mean, they're a better team. I don't think there's any doubt. They're a better team. You have essentially gone out and gotten Garrett Crochet, Walker Buehler, essentially replacing Nick Pivetta and Giolito. You've got 3 veteran arms who are going to replace Pivetta. And Patrick Sandoval maybe will be here in the second half. They needed to address the starting rotation. They needed to do it a year ago, and they didn't do it enough, obviously. They did it this year. There's a pretty good starting rotation, and there's a lot of opportunities to the bullpen that we'll get to in a little bit. But you've come so close to having an offseason that will win over the fans. And, I mean, the American League East is kind of open right now, right? I mean, teams have lost guys by and large. You go out and get that right-handed bat, you get that impact bat in the middle. Yeah, I mean, you could easily be a team that argues about winning the division, but you haven't finished it off yet. You haven't finished the job yet. You need to do more.